Hello everyone, welcome to Tableau Paint by Numbers. Today we're going to be creating a gift officer field map. My name is Glenn Kendall with Concourse Hosting. Also with me today is Harley Kendall.
Hi everybody.
This is the control panel for GoToWebinar. What you'll want to do is go ahead and pop the questions section out so that you can ask questions while the webinar is taking place, and then go ahead and hit the orange or red button arrow there at the top to collapse the rest of the control panel. That way you can see what it is that we're doing. Today we're going to be working with a new data source that we've created called constituents. So this is a new series of data sources that we've been working on. We recently made one called gifts. And the idea behind these data sources is that they use the same fields that are available within Razor's Edge query. So everyone has queries that they've already, created that help you do what kind of reporting and analysis and whatnot that you're doing now within Razor's Edge. The problem is when you start to do things in Tableau, getting at the data can be a little bit challenging. So we've built these new data sources to help with that. So our new constituents data source works just like the Razor's Edge constituents query, same fields that are in there. It's an extract, which means it's fast. If you connect to a live data source, like for example, directly to your Razor's Edge database in Tableau, it's not going to be that fast because it has to query all that data. With an extract, it's already pulled everything out, cached it, condensed it, put it in Tableau server, so it's fast. If you happen to be hosted with us, we auto refresh your data on a nightly basis. If you're not hosted with us, if you're hosted with Blackbot, if you have NXT or whatever, we can still do this service for you. You just need to get us a copy of your database, and however often you get us a copy of your database, whether monthly, weekly, or even daily, we'll auto refresh it for you. And now we've added a new feature where we're geocoding the data, and that's going to come in handy with what we're talking about today. And you'll see what that means here in a bit. So the gift officer field map, the idea behind this is that it's going to be something that gift officers can use when they're in the field to go and visit constituents. And it's going to have some parameters for them to be able to search on, things like maybe the biggest gift that the constituent has given, and then things related to where they are, right? Because it's a map, so distance away and things like that. And we're going to connect this to Mapbox and to Google Maps for directions as well. This is more of an intermediate level, maybe bordering on advanced. So if you're new to Tableau, this could be a little bit over your head. That's fine. Just go ahead and go along with it. We'll be doing some calculations to start with and have some different formulas and whatnot. We'll share those with you after the webinar, as well as we're going to be recording this webinar, so you'll be able to watch it again and go over the more confusing things. We post them on YouTube afterwards. So by show of hands here, and by that I mean go ahead and type into the questions field, how many people are new to Tableau? Maybe just type in like what your experience level is with Tableau, like in terms of months or years of experience. So it looks like most people are fairly new. We do have some that do have quite a bit of experience, but it looks like for the most part, our group here is relatively new. Cool, that's fine. I mean, that's why we do the paint by numbers here, is we're going to walk you through things. Okay. Quickly here, I just want to tell you about the next upcoming webinars that we have. So the next one, actually next week, we're going to be at the APRA conference in Anaheim, which is their 30th anniversary conference. So we're not going to have a webinar next week. The week after that, we're going to do one on long-term or longitudinal giving analysis, and then another one on major donor characteristics the week after that. So go ahead and sign up for those as well. All right. Let me. So today we're going to be using Tableau 10.3. This is Tableau Desktop. And the first thing you do when you open Tableau is it's going to want to connect to a data source. So I'm going to connect it to Tableau Server. And as I mentioned, this is a new data source that we've created, this constituents data source. So this is what we have published to our Tableau server for those who have Tableau with us. But it's basically, again, pulls data out of Razor's Edge and makes it available within this data source. So this is what the data source looks like here. Again, constituent information, very similar, if not exactly the same, to how you would see within Razor's Edge. We also have assigned solicitor, constituency, attributes, gifts, address, spouse. Things are divided into dimensions and measures, dimensions on the top, measures on the bottom here. And you'll see this new field we have here, geocoded addresses. That's because we're taking all of the addresses that are within your constituent records and geocoding them. What that means is that gives us an exact latitude and longitude for each of the constituents. That means we can do like a pin drop on a map, so we can see exactly where they are when we're mapping things out in Tableau. And it's just as easy as this. Double click, double click. So constituent longitude, constituent latitude, again, these are things that we're calculating. So it doesn't matter how many addresses you have in there. If you have 100,000, 500,000, a million, 5 million, whatever, we'll geocode all those addresses for you. So there they are. These are constituents. We are using the Razor's Edge sample database in this case. So the data in here is similar to, we've added some more data as well, but it's, similar to what's going to be in your regular Razor's Edge sample database. So the first thing that we'll want to do when we're building a map is we want to filter on the gift type. So go down here to gifts. So again, the main that we're looking at constituents, but linked off of constituents is gifts. We're going to filter on the gift type. Instead of putting gift type on color, I'm going to put it up here on filters. And we're going to say, I don't want to look at pledges. Just these other values. Of course, you can adjust it how you want it to be, but just to remove those values. So we're not double counting things. So gift type, I think, is one of those things you always want to throw in as a filter. Whether or not you display it, allowing the users to select those values is up to you. I think it's a good idea just so people see what it is that they're doing. They're counting in the field there. And then you'll notice down here in the measures, we've added some calculated fields already. So these we've already created, they're built into the data source, but I'm going to show you how we calculated these so you can do something similar yourself. So we added number of gifts. So in this case, it's a count, a distinct count on the gift ID. Really, we call it the gift internal ID, but it's the gift ID. The ID that's the index within the database. And so in this case, we want to count on the number of gifts because, again, because this is a sample database, we do have constituents in here that have actually not given a gift. We're counting constituents, not gifts. So there are constituents. Your database may not have that. Your database may only be people that have given gifts, but we want to make sure that we're counting people that have at least given a gift. Okay. So any questions so far? Is this making sense? So I'm going to go ahead and just have you, if you guys have questions as we're going along, you can go ahead and ask questions and we'll answer it as we go. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep cruising along here. One other thing we may want to throw in to filter on is the assigned solicitor. I keep double clicking on these. I want to actually add it as a filter. I'm going to say all in this case, but this is something we could add. As something that we can show over here. So then, if this is something that you do want to filter on, you can say, okay, we'll let the solicitor assign or choose themselves, so then only the constituents that are assigned to them would show up. In this case, because it's sample data, we're going to go ahead and show everything, but just know that that may be an option that you want to include there, the assigned solicitor. Okay. So some things the gift officers may be interested in is, say, what's the biggest gift that this person has given, and also what is the most recent gift that they've given. So we have some calculated fields that we've created in here that have those set up already, and I just want to show those to you. So for the biggest gift amount, so there's a couple ways that you can do this. We happen to be doing this using a function within Tableau called a level of detail. And it's basically saying for a given records ID, so the records ID is something that uniquely defines a constituent within Razor's Edge, I want the max gift amount. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is you can actually go by the gift amount. So like we could pull this up here into the tooltips. And we would see the total amount that they've given. And then we can do a count table, or actually instead of summing it all, we could say what's the maximum amount. The problem is that we're going to do another calculation that it's going to be a problem if we're using an aggregate in this other calculation. So that's why we use the level of detail instead. So even though we have, some of these things that may seem easy, like maximum, minimum, whatever, that are built in here, it's going to be a problem for us to use. So we're not going to use that one. And instead, we're going to use the level of detail instead. So we're going to put that in there in the tooltip. Okay. And the reason why is because we then want to find what is the date associated with that biggest gift. So this is where we get a little bit advanced. So on this particular one, I'll open this up a little bigger so you can see this. We're doing really a level of detail within a level of detail. So we're using this other calculated field, which is the biggest gift amount. And we're saying, if the, again, looking at for each constituent within the record's ID, give us the gift date if that gift amount matches, you know, the one that we're looking for here. So it's a level of detail within another level of detail. If we would have used, instead of the level of detail, the max feature, we wouldn't be able to include that within, because you can't combine an aggregate value within the level of detail, at least for that component of it. So this part's a little advanced, a little confusing, but you know, hey, we've already set it up for you. We've already done the work to set this up, so you can just know that you know, this is done for you, and you can just drag it in and use it here. I pulled the wrong one in. The date is the one that I'm looking for. Okay, great. Same thing on most recent gift amount and date. So the most recent gift date, that's straightforward. It's just like, what is the max gift date for a given record? And then we're doing the same thing here on the, what is the amount of that most recent gift? So we're doing a level of detail within a level of detail. If that most recent gift date is the gift date that matches, then give us that gift amount. So we'll just pull these values in here into our tooltip. So we have biggest gift date, most recent gift date, biggest gift amount, most recent gift amount. Okay. Let's add a little bit more information in here. We're going to add the person's name. Let's add, we want to know the total amount they've given. We want to know the number of gifts. Let's move these to the top here. Whenever you see a star there in your data under the name or whatever, that's because there's more than one value that matches. That's probably just because we're looking at sample data. It would be unlikely you would see that. You would have to have two constituents that have the same latitude and longitude for that to happen. So I'm going to do a little formatting in here and clean this up. So I don't think we need to see the latitude and longitude within the tooltip. I'm going to put the name first. I'm going to do, let's do the total amount they've given underneath that, and the number of gifts in parentheses next to it. And then we'll do the biggest gift next. The biggest gift. With the date for that in parentheses. And most recent gift. And with the date for that in parentheses. I think we can just call it biggest and most recent. We'll make this a little bigger, say 16 point. orange. Make the name bold. And these other values we'll make just a little bit bigger. Okay. So this looks a little bit better now. So we can see, and I don't think we need to put, I can just have the name without it saying name. So here's Robert Hernandez. He's given 3 million over 78 gifts. The biggest was on this date, and the most recent was on December 12th of last year. Okay, so this would be helpful then, for the gift officers to be able to quickly have some basic information about the constituents that they're going out to visit. Okay. Any questions on any of those calculations before we move on? So now I'm going to add some more map information. Let's see. Somebody asked a question. They said, can you add notes? I think you could maybe add the most recent note. I think if you add notes, it'd be too much information to have in there. That would be a potential problem with notes, but depends on how many notes you had. So we don't want to put too much information in here, but yeah, you could potentially add notes. Somebody asked, is the location determined by using the preferred address? Yes, this is the preferred address. Or what address? If there are multiple addresses per constituent, we're using the preferred address. So we're geocoding just the preferred address. So preferred address is the one we're using. And it's the geocoded address of that preferred address. Okay. We're going to add now a couple of parameters. So if we want to do a calculation to say, okay, who are constituents that are around me within a certain distance? So we'll put in the latitude and longitude of those. Just format these so that they are oh, did we miss the type on this one? Longitude. Here we go. Another question. Somebody said, can this program search Razor's Edge data for its info? Yes, the data that we're looking at here is from Razor's Edge. So you can, provided that you have a connection that you're pulling the data from. So Tableau by itself doesn't know about Razor's Edge. So what we've done, we being Concourse, we've built a data source that takes data out of Razor's Edge and puts it into this format so that it mirrors the same functionality of Razor's Edge query. But if you want to connect to Razor's Edge, you can connect, you can either do an export of your data out of Razor's Edge. You can connect directly to your SQL database and access the data that way. Won't be laid out as nicely as this. But yeah, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to connect the data. So Tableau doesn't know how to do that out of the box. You'll have to connect it to Razor's Edge somehow. Okay. So I wanted to show here just the reason for putting these in to show latitude and longitude is so that you could put in like what your starting latitude and longitude are. So just to make something up here, we'll do Georgia Aquarium latitude and longitude. Because who doesn't want to be in Atlanta in the middle of July? So I'm going to just put in these coordinates here. You could just easily look up what your coordinates are. You could put these in ahead of time. For longitude, be sure you put in a negative value because we're negative here being west of the prime meridian. Yeah, so you got latitude and longitude. And then this comes in handy because you can then create another calculated field called distance. And I have a handy dandy sheet here for doing distance. This is basically the formula for doing radial distance. Well, we can share this with you afterwards. So this is radial distance in miles from between the constituents latitude and my latitude. So put that in there. Somebody asked, can you use zip codes? Yes, you can. You can use zip codes. The thing with zip code is that it's going to just show you, it's not going to show you a point on the map. It's going to show you all the constituents within that zip code. So it'll be more of a filled map where you'll have a number associated with how many constituents are there. You won't know where in there they are. There's just like, they're in the soup of the mixture in that zip code. You have so many constituents. You won't know where they are, but they're in there somewhere. Okay. Distance. So now I'm going to drag distance up to my filter. And we'll say all values. That's fine. We'll go ahead and show the filter. So then I'll say, okay, only within 100 miles. So yay, there it works. Only within 100 miles of the Georgia Aquarium, I'm only seeing those places, those constituents rather, on the map. Okay. And then you can, change it to, it's like, I want to get outside of the city, 25 miles to 100 miles. Boom. Whatever. So you can change those things. And then, of course, you can have a different starting latitude just by typing those in there. Will it map the best travel route to see each person? That is not a plant. That's an actual question somebody asked. I'm glad you asked that question because let's see how to do that next. So there's a couple of things that we can do here to show that. One is, so the map that we're looking at here is your standard map that comes in Tableau, which is okay, but we want to maybe get something that has, a little more information, that has the traffic on it. First thing let's go and preferred address. There's full address, so let's throw full address on our tooltip here. Is it going to show up? I need to add that in like this. now it has their address on there. So a couple things to do. One is we're going to change the map background to use something called Mapbox. Mapbox will show the current, there's different Mapbox options, but we're going to choose the one that shows traffic. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie it in with Google Maps. So it'll give you, or your gift officer, turn by turn, right, Google Maps, how to get there. All right, so Mapbox first. So Mapbox. So you can go into Mapbox, create a free account. I'm very dizzy now. Why did it zoom like that? Okay. So just go into Mapbox, make a free account. It creates some basic styles for you. I'm going to use this one called Mapbox Traffic Day. This will show the actual traffic conditions. I go in here, I click on Tableau, and then I'm going to copy all of this gobbledygook here. And then I go up into Tableau, say Map, Background Maps, Map Services. I'm going to add another map service. Going to be Mapbox. I'm going to paste all that stuff in here. And then it generates all of this. And voila, we have a better looking map that has the actual traffic happening in every possible area. So here's what traffic is looking like right now in Georgia. I'm going to change the color of my dots so I can see my constituents a little better. Let's make them red dots with the dark border and make them bigger. Red dots good. Should we do orange? Red dots. Okay. So this is one of my constituents then. I can see where they are. The gift amounts. It's got the address. So now I need to just add the Google part so I can get the turn-by-turn instructions on how to get there. To do that, we need to create a dashboard. So this that we've been working in right now in Tableau is called a worksheet. So there's also something called a dashboard. So we're going to click on that to make a dashboard. We will call this dashboard Gift Officer Field Map. And we can just double click here. And this will add it. The reason we want to add a dashboard is one of the functionalities of Tableau is you can add actions. So we're going to add an action. That's a URL. It's going to be for our Google Maps. So this is the URL for the Google Maps. The way Google Maps works is that if you are linking to it from another application, like Tableau, outside of Google Maps itself, then they want you to use an API key in order to do that. So you have to sign up with them and all of that stuff. Or you can use an iframe. So we have an iframe that we've added on our site that we're embedding the Google Maps within the iframe, and all it does is just kind of provide a hook on the back end to make it work. So just know that this is why we're doing it. You don't have to worry about it. You can just either make your own iframe or use ours here. And we'll put that in. And what did I do wrong? Why isn't it showing up?
We put it on menu.
I think I want it to be on menu though. It's missing the full address, that's why. I forgot to add full address to my details. Womp. Oh, I know. So my tooltip here, to change it to on hover. Someone asked the question, why don't you include that in the program? Everyone will want to use it without having to go there, copying the URL. Not sure I understand.
It's the Google iframe. Why not put in the data source?
Not sure I can put it in the data source because it's associated with the dashboard.
No, instead of embedding it in the website, is what the question is asking.
Instead of embedding it in a website.
So we currently have the iframe on a page on the website.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, why put it on the website instead of just put it in the data source?
Because that's the way the iframes work. There's a page on the website that basically just has an iframe in it that allows you to do that. That's just the way that it's kind of a workaround or a trick you need to do to get it to work. So yeah, we just happen to use it on our website that way, but you would have to come up with your own trick or workaround to get that to work. So what I did here, just so you can see, is that the tooltips by default are set up to be responsive, so it shows the tooltip instantly. And so it's only when I then click on the tooltip, or click on the constituent rather, that then the Google Maps link shows up. Or that's a little bit confusing. Instead, if you do it on hover, it shows the tooltips on hover, which it just takes like an extra fraction of a second to do that. Then it will include now that hyperlink in there. See, the Google Maps hyperlink is now there. And now when I click on it, boom, there's the person's address. And I can just go up here and click on directions and choose my starting point, and away I go. So, oops, what we can do is do a little bit of formatting here. One of the things you can do in Tableau as well is you can set up different device formats. So you can make it so that if you're looking at it on something other than a desktop, say a phone, then you can format it specially for that. So for example, in a tablet, it would look like this. And I just say add tablet layout. And then if I want to see phone, I can add phone in here. Add phone layout. So in the case of the phone, you can see there's this window here that defines the real estate that would be available on the phone. So we'd want to do something like go ahead and say fit all. So we'll cram it down in that space. And then, you'd probably want to spend a little more time on the formatting. I'm just going to kind of throw it around here so that we have all those filters available and then still have the map. So this is just kind of a quick and dirty layout that you can do, but hey, to be able to build something like this in less than an hour, you know, that's pretty cool, where they can just put in their latitude, longitude, distance, you know, and be able to see different things that are around there. So, and you can, even on your phone here, not sure if I accidentally got rid of that action or not, but you know, you'd be able to have the Google Maps and whatnot within there as well. Somebody asked the question, how do you map multiple visits in an area with the most efficient route? Wow, that would be a complex calculation to do. I think that's probably outside of the scope of what we can do today, but yeah, I think there would be, right, there'd need to be some math involved. So you would have to then decide ahead of time where it is that you're going to go, include all of those, and then it's, you know, we'd have to do some calculations to figure that out. Of course, it may vary depending on traffic and all of that. So yeah, or you can, you know, put them all into Google Maps there too, as he said. So, but yeah, to be able to just calculate that in here, I don't know if that's really the scope of what we can do with this. But this will at least let you do some filtering and some information on your constituents. You may want to do some other filters as well, like we had that biggest gift amount, so we can go ahead and add that in as a filter. So you can go ahead and give that as an option and show that. We can show that filter to say, okay, maybe we want to look at people that have given as their biggest gift amount between $1,000 and $5,000. And so they've given probably more than average, more than the median value, and so they might be a good candidate for a next level up gift. And any other filters that you think would be useful to throw in there as well. So again, the idea here is that this is pulling your data out of Razor's Edge. You're actually looking at your constituents. All of your constituent data is here. It's geocoded for you. You can filter on it. You can filter on who the assigned solicitor is, gift type, whatever, these other filters available as well, and kind of narrow it down in terms of who it is on the map that you're interested in seeing, and then, you know, do some other cool things with linking it to Google Maps and distance, radial distance from where you are and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and, for those of you that have Tableau with us, we're going to be publishing this new data source in the next couple of days to your site. And then we will be publishing a gift officer field map. We're going to clean this up and have the filters nicely laid out. We'll be publishing that for you as well. Are there any other questions as we wrap up here? Okay. I want to thank you all for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and stick around for a few more minutes in case anyone does have any additional questions. But yeah, that's all we have for now. Thank you so much.